one morning this priest was, Sunday morning was preparing for Mass, and as he shaved, he cut his cheeks, he cut his face pretty badly, and he had to put a big sort of patch on it. And so when it came to the Sunday Mass time of the sermon, he got up and said, "Look, I have to apologise for the cut. I've got a big cut in my face. I was thinking very seriously about the sermon, and I lost my concentration and cut my face. And so I'm sorry." And someone stood up and said, "Well, look, we people appreciate the fact that you've cut your face and you've suffered, but we'd appreciate it more if you cut your sermon." And on that little point, I remember this man who was a minister in one of these evangelical churches, and he had trouble with his teeth, so he had to get his teeth fixed. And on the first day out, when he returned to the sermon, he spoke for 10 minutes, and the people they said, "Oh, that's all right." The next Sunday he spoke for 15 minutes, and they said, "Oh, yes, he's getting..." And on the third Sunday he spoke for 1 hour 15 minutes. They got enraged, they stormed up and pulled him out of the pulpit, and they said, "What's wrong?" We said, "The first Sunday my teeth hurt a bit, but I continued for 10 minutes. The second Sunday my teeth hurt less. I spoke for 15 minutes. And on the third Sunday, I put my wife's teeth in by mistake and I couldn't stop talking." Now, about today's sermon. The point is, it's Christ is battling the struggle that we all have with our self-opinion, our self-importance. And it's strange that he's worked with these men, and they still felt that he owed them something, that they should have high places, and that they were important. And that sort of bedevils the church today. It's the thing that the Holy Father's trying to teach the curia and the priests, to be servants of the people, to be with the sheep, not to see themselves as people who are above anyone, but they're just ordinary men that God has called to a particular service in the church as we know it. And we're all called in our own way, through our baptism and whatever state of life we have, to serve others, to be kind to people, to give them a smile, to try and care for them in their problems, and to just be people who are obviously people who are not caught up in themselves, who do not take themselves too seriously, but who reach out because that's our role as followers of Christ. And that's what he taught, and I see most people do that come here to this church, they do, to this Eucharist, because they care for one another, they talk to each other, and they feel they serve each other just by being here. And then all the people who are married are serving each other, their husbands and children and both wives. We serve each other by just caring and speaking kindly to people. Because life is a struggle, and many people are weak at the knees. And if they get someone, I remember when this one of those refugees through Europe, she said when she was going along with the lesson, a woman came out of a house and gave her a big smile and said, "Here, take this cup of coffee." And the refugee said, "That's the best thing for me, was the smile." And so a smile to people is important, and it's simple enough, but it's a service you give to uplift people who are feeling down. You meet people everywhere. Blokes working on the roads, you say, "You're doing a good job." Just build them up a bit. And, some people don't get on with other people, and they're a bit isolated. When I was giving this retreat last Sunday to the men, there was one fellow there who, I think he's had a bit of a breakdown, and he's a bit deaf, and he's had a bad marriage. His wife left him with 6 children. And when he came into the meals, he always sat by himself. And I just, this is terrible. It's supposed to be a retreat altogether, so I'd sat with him, and I'd try and talk to him. And he was a bit deaf, so it was hard work. But, you have to do that. You reach out, and slowly he warmed up, and then we could get others. I got one of the sisters to come and sit, so there was 2 or 3 of us, and so it went on. But those things are hard to do because you put yourself out. It's not enjoyable, and every meal was the same. But life is connecting with others. That's all I see Jesus is saying today. Just don't think that you're better than anyone else. They're all on the same trip as you are, but we try and support each other. And that's what Jesus did. And he came as a servant. And when it meant him dying, he died for us. But he said, I'm going ahead. So all we can do now is pray that we'll get the graces we need to fulfill the hopes he got for us. There'll be people who care for one another, people who can talk to each other, people who have we're not sort of criticising, but we just live the best life we can, knowing that he comes today again in the Eucharist to be intimately united with us, to raise us up, to give us that inner strength and peace we so badly need, and sending us out of this church upbuilt or uplifted and ready to take on whatever comes in that spirit of union with Jesus Christ, who suffered so much for us.